Hey guys, welcome back to my channel. So for today we are doing what I like to call a very classic bombshell makeup look. And I think it just is so stunning. I feel so pretty when I wear a look like this, if I say so myself. I just think it is a makeup staple. You can't go wrong with it. It's really not that hard to achieve. And yeah, you got like the smoky eye and the thick fluttery lashes and the nude glossy lip. And I just think that it's something that, you know, doesn't take too much effort, but just really looks so stunning when it's all done and makes you feel very glamorous and beautiful. And that is always the goal. So if you want to hang out with me and see how I did this, then just keep watching. Starting out with my Shape Tape Concealer to prime my lids. I don't particularly love this for my under eyes. I just feel like it's a little too heavy. It doesn't look that great on me, but I find it works really nice as an eyeshadow primer. So that's mainly what I use my Shape Tape for. And as usual, just blending it all out so that it is nice and seamless all over my entire lid. Starting with this white shade from the Elcie Minimalist palette, I'm going to just dust that all over just to kind of set the concealer, but also highlight my brow bone. And now taking this soft transition color from the Elcie palette, I'm going to use every color in this palette. I really love this palette, even though it's nothing vibrant or special. It has very basic colors, but it's just the best tones of all the basic colors. Like that black is super black. That peachy tone can be a blush. This one that I've hit pan on is just a really perfect transition shade. I really love Elcie. I actually use a lot of her products in this video and just in general. They're some of my go-to products. So yeah, I'm just buffing that into my crease as usual, just for a nice transition. And then taking the next darkest shade, that's the shade that you can use as a blush as well, and just focusing that on my crease within the transition shade that we did before, just kind of hugging where my eyeball is. I think I forgot to point to the brown shade in the Elcie palette, but that's what I took next on this small packer brush and just patted onto my eyelid all the way up to the crease shades. And now going back in with that brush from before and a little bit more of that transition shade just to make sure that it's vibrant enough, but also that the two colors mesh together nicely. And then lastly for the black, I'm just using this to softly line my upper lash line, just for a soft smoky effect. I didn't want this to be a harsh smoky eye, hence why I used the brown, but I like using the black just to define my lash line. It just makes my lash line look fuller, adds a little bit of drama to the look, and it helps hide the lash band as well, so I like doing this. And then once I've stamped on that shadow liner, I just took this clean brush and kind of buffed over it so that it looks very diffused. And now, of course, the Elcie primer, just figured I would keep with the theme. This is her Pearl Radiance primer. I really like it. It just adds a nice glow to your skin. So I'm just putting a few pumps of that all over my face. And since that primer is more for like radiance and glow, I took this Urban Decay All Nighter primer for my T-zone just to make sure that I'm matte in those areas. And now I'm taking this Changemaker Supercharged Micellar Foundation by Bite Beauty and just brushing it out around my face with this Morphe brush before going in with a sponge because I have commitment issues to using just a brush. I always have to go over everything with a sponge. So I'm just kind of buffing it out, and then I'm going to go over it just to make sure that there's no brush strokes and it's all even and pushed into my skin. For concealer, the Nars concealer in the shade Ginger, I'm just putting that in the usual areas, and I'm just going to actually let it sit for today because I'm going to do the works and cream contour as well.
And for cream contour, the Graftobian Creme in the shade Midnight Marigold. And then once that's pretty much blended and meshed together, I'm just going to set the respective areas with their powders. So for my under eyes, I'm using the Becca Hydra Mist Set and Refresh powder. And then for the rest of my face, I'm using the Elcie powder, of course. And now the Elcie bronzer. I'm telling you, she just has so many good products. So that is why I'm using so many Elcie products, because I really just do actually use a lot of Elcie products. And to lightly contour my nose, I like to use this powdered bronzer by Colourpop. I think the shade is just perfect for my nose. I think the bronzer that I use on my face is a little too dark. I want to give it some definition, but I don't want it to look obvious. So I like to use this, and I just kind of run it along the perimeter of my nose and connect it up into my eyebrow. Then to make sure there's no harsh lines, I just go over that with some more of that Elcie powder just to kind of diffuse where I contoured my nose. And now to prep for falsies, I'm just giving my eyelashes a few coats of the Milk Makeup Kush Mascara. For lashes, these are by Pink Orchid Studio, and they are in the style Trophy Wife. They are very thick and fluffy and glamorous, and a very big lash for me. I usually never wear lashes like this, but I actually really liked it for this look. It just took a minute to get used to because they're just so glam. And now for just a subtle pop of blush, I'm going to use this one by Jouer in Adore Me and just focus that on the apples of my cheeks and then just slightly bring it up. Now to add more definition to my eyes, I'm going to use a brown eyeliner. This is in the shade Earthquake by Marc Jacobs. And I'm going to put that in my waterline, but then also drag it out onto my skin and just kind of be a little messy with it because I'm going to buff it out with a brush after. But I feel like this gives me a lot more pigment and staying power than using a shadow. And then once I have that where I want it, I'm going to take this like bullet tipped brush and just buff out the edges. And then going back with that shade from before that we used on top, I'm going to run that on top of the brown, but bring it down even lower just so that it adds a little nice gradient and kind of matches the top. And now here I'm just adding some mascara to my lower lashes to finish up the eyes. And now for lips, I'm going in first with a lip liner by NYX in the shade Natural before going in with the NYX liquid lipstick in the shade London, and then topping that off with a NYX gloss in the shade Madelyn. Guess it was a NYX lip day. And now for highlight, the Elcie highlight, of course. I like to go in with the Skin Reflector in the shade Golden Haze first. And usually that's the only one I use, but in more glam looks, I will also go over top of that with another Elcie highlight, which is a lot more intense, the Eclipse highlighter in the shade Luna. And I like to put that on the more specific high points of the areas that I originally highlighted. So I'm like highlighting my highlight and it just adds like a really nice dimension and it just looks really pretty.
All right, you guys, that completes the video for today. Thank you so much for watching. I really appreciate it. If you have any comments, let me know, or any suggestions for future videos, also let me know that. I would love to know what you want to see. So yeah, until then, I'll see you next time. Bye.